Hey, Ben here with Stu on the Lake. Hey, so what's been going on? This is a quick recap of what took the last couple months up. This is the last commission. It's a big shield, and I'm just finishing it up there. It started off looking like that, and there it is, all finished. Turned out real nice. I'm real happy with it, real pleased with it. It took quite a bit of time to carve, being strange characters and that sort of thing. So that was the last of the commissions, and it's getting to the point where it's fun to do. I'm going to do some stuff here, and we're going to go into it. I'm going to show you a few of the other things that were commission work, and then we're going to get right into it. We're going to build a vampire kit. That's a little painting of the shield that I did, just to show what it might look like if it were painted in color. And that'll be over on the watercolor channel eventually, showing that. So the shields weren't necessarily made of wood. Some stuff you've probably seen before. This is another one. These are the cabinet commission pieces. That's Mario down at La Lune in Milwaukee who did the cabinet, and I did the cards for the designer. But there is one of the cabinets. There's several cabinets. There are the carvings placed in the panels. The panel carvings placed in there, and it turned out beautiful. These are going into a 150-year-old lodge up here. This thing is 12 foot long. You can see the lower middle panel and then the upper panel, and then there's some side panels that I was commissioned to carve in that. There's one of the center section. Two of these large cabinets were done, encompassing 1, 2, 3, 4. Now to the meat of the thing, a vampire hunter kit. Here's an old antique one. We're going to pattern this off. You notice it's got 9 stakes, 3 crosses. This one's kind of the same concept. It's got some bottles in there. We're going to do that, but we're going to carve the various different elements. You need a hammer to drive the stakes. The stakes need carved, and you need some crosses. So I'm thinking 3 crosses. This is the first one, and this is the first video of this. This will end up being probably 5 or 6 different videos, because I'm going to carve each of the individual pieces. But and there's one stake that will be a separate carving, has kind of a creature on the front of it. But there'll be, I'm thinking right now, 6 stakes, 3 crosses, a hammer, a mirror. I've got those all filmed, and I'll eventually do them. So here I'm laying it out. It's on a piece of maple. It's a piece of scrap maple that has a glue up on it there, and you can see I've cut various different elements that I carved out of that for commission stuff going to the past. So it was in the shop, it was laying there, so I decided to use it. We need a circle in the middle of the deal, so I got my template right there. You need a template. That template's just about out of coffee, so I'll have to redo that. But I'm just rough drawing the line. I have an idea where I want this to go. I want it to be kind of in a Celtic, but not quite a Celtic version, since the vampires, I'm going to make this look like an antique one. But this will be a ring underneath the cross. And here, I'm going to show you a mistake. So I drew this out. Hey, Jordy, I like the red. I used the red on that. I always use red. No, Jordy was making fun of, was saying that I would make fun of him for using a red marker. I buy these Sharpies in a packet, and I don't remember telling him not to use red. But look at that. I cut through the back of it on the pattern. And if you go back, and I quit shooting my mouth off. So I drew it again. When I sawed it through the circle, sawing out the template. So I had to redo it. And that piece became scrap. So see, I screw stuff up often. And if you don't figure out where you're going to cut it, when I take it to the bandsaw, you can see that I cut all the way into the center of the cross there on the legs or the arms. And that doesn't work for the circle. So here's the new layout, and as usual it changed just a tad. I wanted to flare out the cross pieces, And then those circles I drew in the middle are going to be hollowed out as we get along through here. So this is going to be about a 20-minute video with this. It is out of maple. You can see I drew reference lines across there to get those the same. I'm not trying to make it perfect, because this would have, in theory, been done in the 1800s, somewhere in there. And they would have had a fine template like I have there with that one. No, just kidding. So there's the pattern. This time I actually didn't saw into the circle going through the center, and it's all ready to go, and it is outlined in red. So you can see I've already done a little bit on it. That part I'm marking out on the side there is where I'm going to take the circle down so that it's kind of embedded into or underneath the cross there. You can see I've drilled holes in the center. Those are going to be cut out, and that is an Oz 2 Plus burner. It's got a saber tooth round burr in there, and it does a nice job. I like the rounds. I can go in any direction I want, and right now I'm just taking down that particular edge there, and you'll notice that I went into the center circle. That's going to be cut all the way through there, but I wanted that to sit down about 1/4 of an inch from the cross. So there it is, the waist all removed roughly, and it's starting to take shape. You can notice I put a big circle in the center there. Not sure where I'm going to go with that. Of course, this is a voiceover, so I know where I went, but you'll have to wait and see. So here's a saber green. Green is not quite the extreme. The saber burrs come in different. I like them better actually than the Kutzalls, and I won't go into that because I told Jordy I wasn't going to pick on Kutzalls. Echo, stop timer. So the saber burrs come in different colors. They've got green, white is supposed to be the finest, and you can see I'm changing that over. That Oz handpiece is just like a Dremel, and this is my iCube, which has an 1/8 inch collet in it, whereas the Oz 2 Plus that I was just using there, I run both those beside me there, has a 3/32 in it, and you can see that is a Kutzall burr. And it's just a normal Kutzall. And I'm cutting the center out of that, and then refining those edges just a little bit, cleaning it up as it were after taking away the bulk. I like to run the 2 hand pieces so I don't have to, I'm too lazy to change a collet in them. These things are a pain in the butt, just like a Dremel. It's a pain in the butt to change the bit in it unless you've got a quick release collet. This does have a quick release on the tip of it, but then you have to take a little tool and change out the collet if you wanted to go from, say, 3/32 to 1/8 of an inch, or vice versa. So I run in the high-speed handpiece, the 50,000. I run the 3/32 burrs, which is about 50% of my stuff, and then the other that I use is the 1/8 inch, and I use those in this iCube. Both the iCube was around $250, $300. It seems to be holding up pretty well. I have bought a new handpiece. I wore one handpiece out in about a year, and ironically, on the iCube or the Oz 2 Plus, I have one of the handpieces. The handpiece was starting to get hot or warm in my hand after about 5 minutes, which would signify that the bearings are starting to go in it. I did buy another one of those, and that was about $250 in and of itself. And I have not yet sent. I'm going to send the one in to get new bearings put in it. But I use them pretty heavy, so they're about a year. I got about a year worth of use out of them. The Oz 2 Plus was in the $800 range, and if that gives you any idea, you could buy 2 iCubes for that, maybe even 3. So now I'm drawing in my reference lines. I'm going to inset the portions of the cross there, and if you've watched my videos before, this will require a stop cut along the edge, and I use a burner, an Ultima burner with a spear point on it. to do those, to set those stop cut lines. You could do this just with the Dremel itself if you wanted, or you could do it with a knife or a chisel. I'm rounding over that centerpiece. I want to be kind of a button in the middle. You can see that I went and put those holes all the way through. Again, it's not 100% symmetrical, which in my mind gives it an art and a old school look about it. Now you could make this completely perfect if you tried, and I don't even attempt it. So there's my Ultima 2 burner. It's got 2 pins on it, kind of the same concept. One's a fine tip pen. This one I'm using on here, people always ask, it's the 10S. It comes from JPL Enterprises over in Minnesota. Over there, it's a one-man band operation. If you get a chance to talk to that character, he'll talk your head off. So spend some time and you'll get a lot of opinions. You can see that I did those stop cuts I was talking about. Now the tip of this green saber burr will follow to some degree those lines in there. It gives it a little groove to follow. It's not 100%, and I'm cutting through well beyond what I had in there. And you can see I moved the piece to catch the corners. This is 2 times the speed. If you're new to the channel, when I film, typically I'll run one short section, maybe 30 seconds of 45 seconds, and give you an idea of what I'm up to, and then I'll speed it up and let you see the other. So this is 2 times the actual speed. All told, this cross, I probably got 2.5 hours in it, would be my guess. Hey, a lot of people are doing stuff over there. Gene Messer put out a bunch of who's who carvers and carvers you should look at. He's along the same lines as I am. He gave a shout out to me for sure, and I thank you, Gene, for that. And he gave a shout out to a really good review for Jordy Johnson over there. I recommend Jordy. You got Just Carve Rob, Mark the Maker. They're numerous, and I've got all those guys down below in links if you want to check those out. And I will do another carver, famous carvers in history and that sort of thing, to highlight some new people. So you can see I'm starting to draw in the recessed lines, just like I did on the cross on the circle, for lack of better reference. And I'm going to do the exact same thing to those, inset those, just like the parts on the cross there. Poof. So doing a little bit of smoothing here and a little bit of sanding. What's in there now, and that's the Oz 2 Plus. That is a ruby burr. It's a ruby, I think they call that a flame burr, and that's kind of the medium or the larger of them. And I use that for sanding. They're a little bit more pricey. They're 15, 20 bucks a piece. They do wear out over time, but I've got probably 6 or 8 of them. And when they get completely worn out, I'll use them for burnishing prior to doing the finish on there, and they do a real nice job. So I'm just going through and sanding all those things down and kind of perfecting stuff a little bit. You could painstakingly go through and hand sand this whole thing if you wanted to. But you can see I do it in 2 or 3 stages. I'll do the layout, cut the reference lines, come back with a little bit of a more aggressive burr to get it down to the level that I want it. And then I'll come back with this ruby or a diamond or a sapphire bit. They're kind of interchangeable to me, although I like the sapphire the best. But sapphire doesn't make a little ball for detail, and you have to get those in diamond. Don't buy the cheap diamond sets. You'll wear them all out, although I can't really say that that's not a waste of money, because for 10 or 15, 20 bucks you get 10 of the diamond burrs, whereas I pay the same thing for 1 of these sapphire burrs. So I'm not saying, I don't know what the economy on that is. And kind of the same concept, these end pieces are going to have the little squares cut out in them, and I'm laying those out really quickly, and I'm running this, I don't know, probably 2 or 3 times faster. I can't remember what I clicked. This maple comes, it came from a tree that I cut years ago, or they cut at West Point. I took a bandsaw mill and cut it down. I'm down to about 1,000 board foot of it now. There's the stop cut lines, and I'm going to take this and take it out just like you saw on the rest of it. And that's a little diamond burr. You can see I did the rough cut already. Now I have a round diamond in there because this is smaller and the flame doesn't work quite as well. And I'm just going to sand these down and rough them over, getting ready for the final design to go in there. And I'll lay that design out here in a bit. So this thing's going to be a whole vampire kit. I'm going to build the case. It's going to have, like I said, probably 3 crosses in it because you need the crosses. It's going to have 6 stakes, I'm thinking right now. I've got 3 of the stakes done. They're all a little bit different, and I did a video on each one of them. There'll be 3 crosses, 6 stakes, a hammer. The hammer is done. I just haven't, I'll put the videos up in kind of a sequence. And then a mirror. So you can look in the mirror and see, supposedly you can't see, vampires don't show up in mirrors. And it also helps, they don't like the light reflected off the mirror or something. I don't know. Of course, this is all make-believe, and it's interesting that someone went ahead and built actual kits. These kits, if you find one that's an antique kit, they have the bottles, glass bottles for holy water. They've got your garlic in there. They've got sand or rice, because supposedly if you take and throw down a bag of rice, the Orientals said if you had a vampire coming, leave a bag of rice out, because the vampire couldn't come in to your house and get you because they're obsessive compulsive, and they have to sit there and count every grain of rice. So you can see I'm starting to put the final design down into the center portions of the cross. Again, I'm marking those out with the burner. I did burn the tip of this burner. Finally died on me, the 10S. I have 3 of them now that are burned, and I will send those back to JPL Enterprises. What he does is he desolders the tip there and puts a tip back in it now on the handpiece, and he'll do that for, used to be $7, whereas the pen was $20, $25. So I'll wait till I get 3 or 4 of them. I'll send them back to him, and he goes ahead and puts a new tip in there. He'll put any tip you want in there. It doesn't have to be the same tip that you ordered on that. And generally, he will call you before he puts the tip in there, or more appropriately, after about 3 months, you'll call him and ask him how they're coming along, and he'll say, "Oh yeah, I just pulled those off the shelf, and I'm just getting ready to start on those. What do you want in them?" And then with another day, he'll call you up and he'll tell you what you did wrong to damage or destroy or break those tips. He puts them under a microscope, and he tells me, he said, you shouldn't sharpen them. You should only use this abrasive cleaner, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. I listen to him patiently, and then I do what the hell I want to do with them, because they're mine. Just like I don't think I have very many screwdrivers that are in good shape to use as a screwdriver, because it's a multi-tool. If you need something to hammer or something, or a punch, you use a screwdriver. If you need to bend something, you use a screwdriver. It's just a tool, and to me this is a tool. And I do sharpen them. I sharpen them on a diamond slick, and then I hone them. So we're getting down to the end here. I went ahead and put a little cross in the center because this all has cross stuff. You can see that I've done the rough work on the inside of it, and as always, Jordy says, and I do too, you should sign your work. That way people know that it's you. There is a school of thought, some artists won't sign their work. They figure that they let their technique, and the people in the future have to figure out if they become important enough to collect or be worth money, then people will know it's their work. I don't subscribe to that. I say you should sign stuff so people don't have to guess. And it gives the forgers in the future something to look at. So there, the carving is pretty much done. You can see I embellished it. The cuckoo clock going crazy in the background. You would hold that like that. Now, this is 4 times the speed. It's probably my favorite finish, and this is maple. I use amber shellac, and I'll put probably 2 coats on this. Let them dry. They dry really rapidly. I mean, I'm talking half an hour. This will be dry. And then I will take some 4-0 steel wool and rub it down a little bit. And if it needs another coat, I'll put another coat on there. But then I'll just take a regular furnish polish or furnish wax, the hard stuff, Johnson & Johnson, like that floor wax. And I'll put a couple coats on that and buff it. And it comes out with a real nice, smooth finish, and you'll get to see that here shortly. But I'll throw a couple of coats of this shellac on there. It's kind of neat. I don't throw the brush away. The brush will get hard. I'll put it back in the deal. There is what she looks like. There's going to be the next video showing you. It's kind of got a little creature head on in there. That's a wooden stake. And like I said, I'm going to do probably 6 of those. I have 2 of the bigger and one of an interesting design. That's what it's eventually going to look like. I'm going to have the whole kit in there, and that's what's coming up. So as always, this has been Ben with Stu with the Lake. So leave a comment, click the like, and by all means subscribe. Hey, thanks a lot for watching.